this video I will explain about crystal lattices and unit cells. In this concept we have to know some points like lattice points, crystal lattice, it is also known as space lattice, unit cell, and another concept here, classification of unit cells, classification of unit cells. So all these concept we have to know about in this video. First we will know about one by one. First one, lattice points. Here lattice points are the points that indicates the relative position of constituent particles. Relative position of constituent particles. Relative position of constituent particles. The constituent particles may be included atoms, molecules, or ions. Atoms, molecules, or ions. So here how you define the lattice points are nothing but lattice points are the points that indicates relative position of constituent particles. If you taken any type of one crystal lattice, in that crystal lattice we have to know about here, particularly here the relative positions. So these points are taken as here lattice points. So this is about the lattice points. Means what? In these relative positions of constituent particles, where it will present, it is nothing but here in a crystal. So this is the important point for short notes answer. So similarly, second type of concept here, crystal lattice. Crystal lattice or space lattice. What is here crystal lattice or space lattice means what here? Here crystal lattice or space lattice, it is a three-dimensional array or arrangement of three-dimensional array or arrangement of points showing the orderly arrangement of constituent particles in space. So crystal lattice, it is nothing but one. Here it is a regular three-dimensional array or arrangement of points showing the orderly arrangement of constituent particles in space. So crystal lattice, it is indicates that it is one of the three-dimensional arrangements. So we have to imagine that the points are arranged in three-dimensional way. So 3D in the sense we have to understand about it is in a one of imaginary point here. So this is about here crystal lattice or space lattice. Next concept is here unit cell. So what is the meaning of unit cell? Unit cell, it is in the smallest repeating unit of the crystal lattice having the shape of the crystal which when repeated in 3 dimensions gives the crystal lattice. So this is the meaning of here unit cell. So you define this unit cell, it is nothing but if you taken a 3-dimensional crystal lattice, in that 3-dimensional crystal lattice a smallest repeating unit, it is in a smallest repeating unit. So this smallest repeating unit is called as here unit cell. So by this unit cell what it will use, it is nothing but here it will use the crystals having the shape of the crystal which when repeated in 3-dimensional gives the crystal lattice. When it will repeated in a crystal lattice, it will use the particular shape of a crystal. So here in order to describe a unit cell, it is necessary to specify the some points here. What are the some points? Now we will understand by this diagrammatic representation here. This is known as here parameters of unit cell, or why unit cell is necessary. So for this question here it is notified that 3 points. So what is the first points here? The distances A, B and C. The distances A, B and C along the 3 edges. Means here may or may not be mutually perpendicular. Means first point, which is why this unit cell is necessary, it is nothing but it will indicate the distances between A, B and C along the 3 edges. So this is an A edge, this is an a B edge and this is an a C edge. So this is an first point. Then second point, what is here? The angles. It will notify the angle between the edges. So this is an A edge, B edge, C edge. It will notify the angles. Between the edges. That is the angle, you can take it as alpha, beta and gamma. So alpha mainly indicate that the edges between B and C. So you can write here B and C. Then next angle beta, it will notify that the angles edges between A and C. Then last one gamma, it will indicate that the edges between A and B. So this is in the second point. Then last one, you can say here it is also indicates that some directional properties also. It will indicate that directional property. So for this the unit cell is going to useful. So it will indicate the mainly 3 points. One it is distance, second one it is angles, and third one will be distances. Here next concept is classification of unit cells. Here based on the positions of constituent particles, unit cells are broadly classified into two types, that is primitive unit cells, and centered unit cells. So these are the main classification: primitive unit cells and centered unit cells. Let us learn about one by one. So first one, primitive unit cells. What are here primitive unit cells? So here in this type of unit cells, the constituent particles present only at the corners of unit cells. So here how you define the primitive unit cells? It is nothing but here the constituent particles, it may be taken as atoms, molecules or ions. So here you have to notify that the constituent particles are present only at the corners. See, only at the corners of a unit cells. So this type of unit cells are called as primitive unit cells. So second type of unit cell is known as here centered unit cells. So in this type of unit cells, the constituent particles are present at positions other than the corners in addition to those at corners. So there are three types of centered unit cells. There are three types of centered unit cells. So first one is body centered unit cells. Second one is face centered unit cells, and third one is end centered unit cells. Body centered, face centered, end centered unit cells, or these three types of unit cells are comes under the centered unit cells. So now let us learn about one by one. So first one is body centered unit cells. In this concept, body centered unit cells, in this type of centered unit cells, in addition to corners, means the constituent particles are present in addition to corners. There is one particle at the body center. At the body center means how you define this centered unit cell means just you can observe here centered unit cell. Already here body centered unit cell means the constituent particles are present in addition to corners. In addition to corners there is one particle at the center of the body or body centered. So this is known as body centered unit cell. So second one here, face centered unit cells. Here the constituent particles in addition to corners, particularly you have to mention here the word addition to corners. Addition to corners, there is one at the center of each face. There is one at the center of each face. So here you can observe how the face centered will be present here. They have already mentioned that the constituent particles are present addition to corners, so you have to mention addition to the corners. So this is in one face, 2, 3, 4, above plane and below the plane. Like this face it will constitute one constituent particles and this will be constituent like this. In each face there is a presence of constituent particles. So this is known as face centered unit cell. Last type of centered unit cell is known as end centered unit cells. Similarly, however, you have defined body centered, face centered. Here the constituent particles are present in addition to corners. In addition to corners there is one at the center of any two opposite faces. So here the constituent particles are present addition to the corners. Any two opposite faces. See here. If it will be like this, here end centered in the sense here the constituent particles are present in addition to the corners. There is one at the center of any two opposite faces. See here, these two are opposite faces and these two are opposite faces. For example, I will take this face and this face. Otherwise you can take this face and this face. Any two opposite faces the constituent particles are going to present. So this is about the centered unit cells. So these are the overall about classification of unit cells. If you have any doubts, please comment and please subscribe our channel. In next video we will learn about the number of unit cells or the number of particles are present in a particular unit cells. Thank you.